Hi, this is Jackson.
We're bridging the gap. Seriously. Blast Radio 94.3 New Jersey.
Hey, did you see that post online about Julie? I totally wrote it. Wasn't it hilarious? Is all of that true? Who cares? She's stuck anyways.
Are you talking about that post about Julie?
Yeah, funny, right?
No, but that post about you was.
What post?
Oh, you didn't hear? You're fat, you're ugly, you're stupid, and oh yeah, you smell too. The whole school saw it, no big deal.
That's so mean. Did they really write that about me?
No, but how does it feel?
Sometimes you can feel all alone when being bullied, and that's when you can really use a friend. If you see someone or know someone that's being bullied online, let them know they're not alone. Stand up now, support a friend, and save a life. For more information on cyberbullying, visit stopthemean.wordpress.com or call the hotline at 1-800-555-STOP. A message from your friends here at Splash Radio.
We're moving on now to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky.
Hi, this is McBoomin Moving, box truck for rent, for all your light moving needs, anywhere within the Northeast Orange, Irvington Orange areas. $50 a trip from Monday through Thursday, $60 from Friday through Sunday. Call 862-279-9300. That's 862-279-9300.
May 12th, the biggest horseback has ever seen. Entertainment brings to you New York meets New Jersey. Tourist State of Mind, Black and Gold Affair. The official birthday bash for Little Rihanna, DJ Ted, Hot Rod the God, and out of New York, DJ Rich Rated R. Friday, May 12, 2017, 48 Branford Place, North New Jersey. Music powered by DJ Biggs, DJ Maul, DJ Chronic, DJ Rich, DJ Darkett, and straight from New York City, DJ Kev Rich and Prince Chills. Doors open at 10 p.m. There will be tight security. All you can drink and birthday packages are available. For more information, please log on to touriststateofmind.eventbrite.com. Again, touriststateofmind.eventbrite.com. May 12th, North meets New Jersey. Tourist State of Mind, Black and Gold Affair. Be there.
Jenkins Entertainment in association with H&M proudly present Mother's Day dinner and concert, a tribute to all mothers. On the 14th of May, the club gonna be Club Eclipse. That's 247 Fabian Place, Newark, New Jersey. Y'all know what that is. Performing live is your host, Ghost Rider, your soul provider, and the big man himself, my daddy, Ken Booth. So all them ladies and dainty babies, just come out early and support your mommy. Bring out your mommy. And all of them rude brothers, bring out your mommy. Remember, admission is only party and alligate more. So remember, music provided by Unity, DJ Plato, DJ Jason,
looking at them like,
MC, and Lady D. So remember, come on early, Jersey, to all of my ladies, my dainty babies. Take your mom to dinner. It's a special night from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's our special night. Love you, mama. Club Eclipse, 14th of May, Mother's Day. Oh, Ghost can do.
The biggest outdoor water party to hit New Jersey, H2O, and Soca, formerly known as PCW. Go to eventbrite.com. H2O.
Sing it, representing the color heritage. Represent the heritage. Marcus Cave family. Color heritage family. Fashion with culture. Bobo Shanti. Support the culture.
trustworthy tax professionals? Give Impact Corp a call. We will assist you with all your tax needs. We are a team of CPAs and IRS enrolled agents. If you are audited, our audit protection team will represent you at no out-of-pocket costs. We provide 3 years audit protection and a year identity theft protection, so you can have peace of mind without fear of audit. Call our team of tax experts today, 973-395-4401.
For the most authentic Caribbean food in town, check out Sunsplash Caribbean Bakery and Restaurant. They got the natural organic juice bar that'll get your day started right. Like the Power Punch, the Vegan Juice, the Mega Green, roots like the Immortal and the Resurrection. And peep this, they have an extended bakery department that whips up my favorite, the hot Hardo breads. White or wheat, that's your choice.
If you're feeling hungry, just grab a bite. Sunsplash Bakery and food is right. Jamaican party, Italian veggie, and Sunsplash Bakery. Makes the deal of the meal
Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They also cater to vegans and vegetarians with the Ital stew and the Ital ak, the soul jerk salmon and Malva tilapia. And of course they got the usual curry goat, oxtail, brown stew chicken, jerk chicken, and so much more. I mean, their menu is extended and they're highly rated. Your best bet is to just stop by or give them a call. They're open Monday through Wednesday 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Thursday through Saturday 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sundays 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. They're located at 56 Main Street in Orange, New Jersey, and can be reached at 973-395-3777.
Eat for hungry days. When it's a whole food up on the empty plate. Long time when they are, we sit on the wait. Sunsplash restaurant and run the place. Everybody me say just run the case, yeah.
Let your food be a medicine. Eat well, live longer. I'm David Shepard and I endorse this commercial.
Eric Dawson. Mornings at 10 o'clock.
Hey, bro, you're doing a great job. Love listening to you.
94.3.
Splash Radio.
Splash Radio. 94.3. Ready. Dance hall. Soca. Hip hop and R&B. African. Disco. Oldies but goodies.
Large upload boy, Mr. Lover. Shut it. Yo, the best station on the planet.
Splash Radio 94.3 New Jersey.
Well, I don't know, so Mr. J represent the 94.3 FM Splash Radio. We don't splash out the music on them.
Him. Your attention, please. This is no ordinary show. Covering news and information for Essex County, New Jersey, and beyond. This is the Eric Dawson Radio Show. Broadcasting from 94.3 Splash Radio. Now, here's your host, giving it to you like only he can. It's Eric Dawson.
Hey, this is Eric Dawson, and this is the Eric Dawson Radio Show, 94.3 FM. Call number 973-457-8000. Again, 973-457-8000. To listen through your mobile device, 213-493-0287. And you can check us out live, streaming on Facebook from 10 to 12, Monday through Friday. It's Monday, and I'm here with my co-host, Kevin Jenkins. What's going on, man?
Everything.
Dude, listen, man. You know,
everything. What's up, buddy?
Excited to be here.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great weekend. I slept, went to church. I got to tell you, I had a great experience in church this weekend. Pastor Slaughter, you know, I'm a member of St. James AME. Mm-hmm. He hosted all of the public safety police officers and their directors to the at the church this weekend, and gave a powerful sermon. And I was really, really pleased about that. I mean, I like going to church. I don't go often, but, going to St. James and listening to Pastor Slaughter, he puts things in perspective for you.
So a
and all
sermon with the police officers?
Well, he actually invited them to the church to talk about the hard work that they are always engaged in. And he gave a sermon, that I thought was pretty impactful. And, he honored them. He had all of the directors stand up and all of the police officers from each city stand up, from East Orange, from the Sheriff's Department, from the state police. We had the prosecutor there, I don't remember her name, prosecutor for the Essex County.
Right.
And we had the thing that I really loved about it, majority of the people that are leading the police department in I mean serious ways are women. Mary, the young lady that's now the director of detectives for the county. I mean, East Orange director.
That's right.
I mean, all of them are women.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. I was like, wow, times have changed, I mean, that fraternal order understands the importance of having women lead, and those women are leading with distinction. So I was very happy to see that. I never paid attention to it until Sunday.
I think that's great, though, right? To bring them together with the so I
love me some sisters now, I love sisters doing good stuff. You know that.
I think that's great. But we talk a lot about accountability.
Absolutely.
And we talk about the role that the church should play in the community.
Absolutely.
And so to hear you talk about that, and to talk about how the police were involved in a way where it wasn't bad press.
Well, I'm proud. First of all, I'm proud of Pastor Slaughter. I mean, he's out on front of all the social justice issues. He speaks truth to power. He really uses the church in a way I believe the church should be used. It's a welcoming place. It's a place where you can worship God, but it's also a place where he tells you the truth.
Right.
And he talks about the things that I think that are serious and contemporary. And I believe he said, listen, I support the police. I am a big supporter when they're right. Now, when they're wrong, I'm not supporting that. But I think police officers need to hear that. And I think for a young man like that to bring that group of young men and women that put their lives on the line all the time, I thought that was a level of respect that I don't see often.
I would love to have him come on the show and
he's dynamite. Well, I can get him on your show. I can call him.
All right.
I have a little influence.
Do you have a little influence?
A little. He's my friend. He's my friend.
No, I'm looking forward to it.
And we talk about a lot of stuff. Actually, I'm going to ask him.
Because there are a lot of people who don't attend his church who could benefit from what you're talking about.
Yeah, and his church our church has grown. He beats up on me all the time about coming to church. But every time I come, I'm always filled with the Spirit. I'm always focused, when I leave out. And I'm looking at all of the young, dynamic people that are attending the church now. I think that's fantastic. Anytime you can have a church and then grow it with young people, that says a lot about your
that's
leadership.
how it's supposed to grow.
And I believe he leads by example. He's young. He's in his 30s. He's dynamic. He can be anywhere in the country doing this. And to come to Newark, he's getting ready to build a $6 million church that's going to help to transform Martin Luther King Boulevard. But the church is a church for the community. It's not for him. And you hear him talk, he understands that better than anybody. So, St. James has been in that community forever since I was
Now, does he have an online ministry as well?
Yeah, he has an online ministry. I'm quite sure he's working on it. I don't listen. I'm not the guy that listens to it, but he's very active on social media.
Yeah, because a lot of the churches now are streaming live so that people who don't actually physically
Yes,
attend.
he does. As a matter of fact, during our service, he does do that.
Yeah.
I'm a little old.
Yeah.
I'm a little older. I don't
No, that's okay. But for you guys who might be interested in that, we'll get you that link so that on Sundays, if you're sick and shut in.
Yeah, I'll get that link for you, too.
Can check it out.
I should know that. I know he's saying, well, Kevin doesn't know the link.
No, that's okay. I
can't keep that stuff.
Well, we're going to bridge the gap everywhere we can here, man. So, I relaxed.
Yeah.
And people keep telling me, Eric, you got to get some rest. So Saturday I took it down. I did nothing.
Good.
And I felt guilty.
Oh, really?
I did, man. I didn't relax and feel good about relaxing. I relaxed. Well, I didn't even relax. I guess I did nothing but felt guilty. So I wasn't relaxed. I was tense and filled with anxiety over doing nothing.
Listen, I love relaxing. I love reading. I love watching things on TV that are informative so I can have conversations with my peers about things that I think are important. And, Saturday and Sunday, I'm not a person that really goes out often. I think people think I'm always out, but I'm not. I'm always home because that's where I get my best stuff done and that's where I think the most. So Sundays are always my reading day. I read everything.
Okay.
I mean, the Atlantic. I mean, I read everything on the face of the earth. The Financial Times. I'm just a reader that way. I absorb information that way. So Sunday, that's my form of relaxation.
All right.
You know.
Well, it was a good day to do it, man. It cooled down. Yeah. Saturday was brutally hot for me.
Yeah.
But Sunday was a little bit better. Friday, man, I did what we do. We gave food out to to some seniors up in East Orange, and it was interesting.
How's that going?
Man, Kevin, I got to tell you, the joy that that I see on the faces of these folks when we show up is incredible. And not only that, we've also, and I'm not advertising that this happens because we really don't have the bandwidth to do it, but several people have called me individually and have said, hey, listen, I know families who are in need of assistance. Can you put care packages together? So Terry and I, my fiance, we spend time during the week, and especially on the weekend, taking care packages to homes.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, but I love to do it. It's just exhausting.
Oh yeah, well, good community work is exhausting. Yeah. It'll take a lot out of you. And plus, this whole issue of food insecurities. I mean, listen, the middle class. I hate to use that term because there is no such thing. Everybody's a day away from catastrophe. You lose one check in your household, it'll wipe you out.
Yep.
So this whole issue of food security. Insecurity is really a serious issue, and I think in Newark in particular we don't talk about it often, but it's out there.
Oh, it is.
Now our food banks are depleted. We don't have the access to food like we used to have it, and I know a lot of agencies are out there around the park giving out food and feeding the homeless, but families that go to work every day, when you open up that refrigerator, it's not a lot of stuff because they have to pay either their car insurance or feed their children or put clothes on the backs of their children, and that's a very serious issue. Prescription, and and we as a community we need to understand that's happening every day in everybody's in a lot of people's households. It can happen to you, to me. Absolutely. It happens to everybody.
And I want to say this: not only are we doing this, and if there are any other people doing it, please let me know. I'm happy to give them a shout out. I do know Milagros Angels does a fantastic job in the community.
Oh, really?
Man. Oh man, I mean, and I met her on 4th Avenue in East Orange. I was with a buddy of mine, and we were coming around the corner where the Masjid is over there, and there's an empty lot, and there were 3 huge U-Haul trucks.
Really?
And they were packed with food.
Really?
And people from the community would just come and getting boxes of food.
And where is that? Where is that?
Well, she travels throughout the community, man.
Okay.
So she does a food banking kind of thing. I don't know exactly what day it is. I think it may be the first Saturday of every month at what's the high school in the North Ward? Barringer.
Barringer, okay.
Yeah, and she promotes it on social media, and I try to share it and get the word out as well. But she's doing a fantastic job. And if there are other people who are doing it, please let us know. Oh, you know who else does it? Leonard Ellis.
Right, yeah.
Right, Eyes Wide Open Hope.
Right, yeah.
And so there's some other ones who do it, but we need to get a directory of the people who are doing it.
Yeah.
Right? So that the people who are in need can find us.
Listen, if you walk down the streets in Newark, and if you walk down the streets in Philly and other great cities now, you see a huge population of homeless people. I mean, all over the street. I was in Philadelphia for the Democratic National Convention. Was there. In New York, it's there. It's all over the country, and it's just not Newark.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's something that over the last 5 years, I've been seeing a lot of it, and a lot of the people I'm seeing are families. This is just not individuals. I'm seeing families. And this whole homeless issue everybody's talking about, and everybody's trying to really figure out a way to build a strategy around it and try to abate some of it. It's a very tough issue, and you can't gloss around it. Listen, everybody's saying we're going to build better shelters, or we're going to. I don't think that's the actual remedy, but it could possibly help. But we need to really come up with a long-term strategy that's going to deal with the homeless community the right way, because a lot of it has to do with mental illness. A lot of it has to do with those families. Once that cycle occurs, it's hard for them to get out of it. I've seen that happen. Once you get over that side, it's kind of difficult to get back to some normalcy in your life. And then on the housing side, there is a problem with how we are going to build our new housing stock to accommodate families that are not making that amount of money. Right. The Newark Housing Authority, I mean, this is a perfect segue. last week, a number of the employees have been notified they were going to be furloughed.
Right.
Now, I don't know if you know much about the Newark Housing Authority, but that's a very important institution of the city. It really supports a lot of the efforts. It's a quasi-governmental agency. It's a federally mandated agency, but basically it's ran is aligned with the city government. Right, I can say it 100 different ways this morning, but is aligned with the city government. So, for those workers, those people that have been down there all those years, to be furloughed because of mismanagement, right? And it's not because of Keith Kennard. It's because that the administration has taken people, 70 to 80 people, and it ballooned that budget, right? Which impacted.
I saw that. I saw that last year. People were saying, friends that I have down at the Housing Authority, they said, man, they're just sending people down here, and we don't have the budget to be able to.
But that's the kind of stuff, though, that I think the citizens of Newark, and I understand that a lot of people that work for the Housing Authority, they're very upset about that. But now let me tell you the economic impact. You're talking about one paycheck away. You talk about your pension. You talk about your level of security.
It's 12 weeks.
Imagine working.
No, 12. Is it 12 days or what is it for furlough? I think it's
got to be weeks. I don't know. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it again.
Maybe 2 weeks. But 2 weeks, that's a paycheck.
But this is the issue, though. You're talking about food insecurity. Yeah. You talk about homelessness. You're talking about what those people might be doing with that extra $100 and $200 is helping their grandchild, or helping their daughters or sons, right? Because it's hard for everyone. So you go down there without understanding that, and you pack the place with people that should not be there. They're not qualified, right? You are now impacting the Newark Housing Authority's budget. You are now destroying the infrastructure of those people, and those people and what they need to be doing for those community residents out there, right? So why would you do that? I mean, that tells me that you really don't understand government. That tells me that you really don't understand the impact of what you do. So you take 70 people, you give them 150, 120, 130, 160, $90,000, 80 people that don't have any experience. But then on top of that, in the same, when they were marching on the Newark Housing Authority last week, this is crazy. Terrell Homes. They're going to tear down Terrell Homes, but in the same spirit, they're talking about we got to build more affordable housing. Newark is not Brooklyn. Hello? Wait a minute. But you're going to tear down Terrell Homes, but what you're saying, why you're saying you're tearing it down is because, economically it doesn't work anymore. Well, who put that feasibility study together? Now, Keith Kennard, since he's been there, for the last 10 years, has really stabilized, maybe a little longer, stabilized the Newark Housing Authority. We have a good reputation at the national level because of him, right? And because he has the ability to understand when the money was being taken away from the Newark Housing Authority, he had an ability to understand how to do unique financial formulas to be able to get projects done.
Right.
So we should say, listen, now, so you're going to get rid of that guy. You're going to push him out on the street, right? So you can put a political hat there, or put somebody there that don't understand how to get that done in a big city, right? And that's going to impact, again, the growth of this city. It's going to impact the whole issue of affordable housing. Now, getting back to, because I'm going to unpack a little bit on this stuff.
Right. But what I want to do is I want to stop for a second, ask people to because this is very important information that we're going to get into. Please share this episode now. Do that. And then also, if you know somebody who's in Terrell Homes, or you know somebody who's being impacted by the ensuing furloughs at the Housing Authority, please, the number is 973-457-8000.
Well, so let's talk about this. So Keith Kennard, they pushed him out. Last week, right, there's a discussion for the last 5 weeks about closing Terrell Homes. So that's the affordable housing issue. So you can't talk about affordable housing if you're going to push a whole nother group of people that can't afford to live in adequate housing out on the street. And where you're going to put them? You're going to put them in terrible places.
Now, my understanding is, though, that they're going to get vouchers.
But see, the voucher doesn't mean they're going to stay here. The voucher means they can go anywhere. So you're depopulating that. And guess what? And in the East Ward, I mean, that's a huge African-American population down there. They're going to be wiped out.
That's absolutely right.
They're going to be wiped out. So you gotta understand. So Keith, they're pushing out because they want to put a political hat there, which is going to have major impact on Newark Housing Authority. We've seen that happen before, right? So now you're going to close Terrell Homes, and you're basically saying we can't fix it, right? But the administration writes a letter and saying I can't fix it. They disappear. They go away, and the residents are down at the Newark Housing Authority saying you're abandoning us. You're abandoning us. Now, then on top of that, you're talking about throwing gasoline on fire. Now the people that work for the Newark Housing Authority are going to have to be furloughed because the administration put 70 to 80 to 100 people down there that ain't coming to work, that ain't doing a job. That's causing a negative impact on the people that work there. Morale is low, right? So now this, and that's in saying all of that, right? What's going to happen to the people that have been here for 20 years? You ready for this? Their pensions are going to be impacted.
Absolutely.
So they're going to have to leave. Right. Leave a job that they know how to do. Leave a job that they worked hard for, right? So on the affordable housing side, please, don't ever talk to us about affordable housing because that's affordable housing over there and you're getting rid of those people, right? On the leadership side, you want to get rid of the leader, but actually Keith Kennard is suffering down there because they're forcing people, they're forcing him to hire these people that don't have the experience.
But here's the trippy thing for me.
Oh, should I be saying this morning? I'm fired up this morning.
Listen, man. Look, we got to say it. But here's the trippy thing for me, Kevin.
Yeah.
When President Trump brought in Dr. Carson, right? People in our community screamed and hollered, talked about how unqualified he was. So they're ready to deal with housing on a national level, right, with the director of HUD, but the stuff that's going on in our own backyard, people are oblivious to.
Well, that is the thing. Well, they would be oblivious to it because it goes back to food insecurities. It goes back to how you're going to pay your light bill. It goes back to how you're going to keep your kids safe from walking from back and forth to school. It's a lot of things. There's a lot of things happening to our people that don't allow them to focus on this. But you and I know. So when we come on the radio show, we can talk about it. We can talk about what's happening at the Newark Housing Authority, the impact it's going to have on the people that have been working there for 20 years, the impact it's having on morale, right? You have renegade board members down there, right, destroying the place.
Now, I'm also told by, I got a couple sources within the Housing Authority, that there are tenants who are waiting for repairs, but they're not getting those repairs because of lack of funds, right? And the folks at the Housing Authority are being criticized, the actual workers, but they're being told that they don't have the resources to do it. So there's a lot. So I want you all to know, because that was actually sent to me over the weekend, and I was looking at it. He said, Eric, make sure you mention that on the show that, when we show up, folks are getting on us for, a lack of repairs. And there's a huge backup, like a massive list, hundreds, thousands of repairs that are not done.
Well, listen, I know when I was working in city government, we had one of the best housing authorities in the country. I can't tell you about the Booker era, but I can tell you about the James era. First of all, we got rid of the blight of having the worst social engineering program ever, which was the projects. We got rid of that. And we created communities by using Hope 6. Hope 6 was a phenomenal tool for us to rebuild our communities and do it the right way this time. Not creating houses of poverty like the projects were. So we had a major boom. In the Booker era, I would have to go back and do some research, but when Keith Kennard came in through both of those administrations, he basically stabilized and gave us a clean bill of health and started getting other projects done that I thought was incredible. He finished off Montgomery Street. He finished off Baxter Terrace, which was being developed out of the
But I want to stop for a second, and I want you to get back to that.
Absolutely.
But when we talk about what's going on at the Housing Authority and we talk about the administration bringing all of those people down there, you have a board. The Housing Authority has a board.
Well, the board is completely renegade. I mean, I don't know what they're doing down there. I mean, look, you talk about the Board of Education. You talk about what we're seeing at the Board of Education. What's going on down there is frightening to me. I mean, that is a serious institution that needs serious leaders on the board that understand the mission of the Newark Housing Authority, correct? So what we're seeing down there is just another runaway train. And this is my point.
Do we know, if anybody who's listening who knows who those board members are, could you please put it in this thread so we know who they are and that we can make that list available to the people who are watching?
Well, that would be very gracious because I don't have my computer. You're going to make me start bringing my computer.
No, that's okay. But I'm going to ask people who are watching to do that.
But now, so Keith Kennard's out. Terrell Homes, they're pushing it out, but something important happened last week. Community residents and the employees of Newark Housing Authority said enough is enough. They marched on the Newark Housing Authority. They marched on that bad management, and they said enough. Why are you penalizing us because the administration forced you to bring all of these unqualified workers down here and pay them all of that money, right? That's having an impact on our budget. Now you're telling me it's having an impact on community residents getting their proper their apartments repaired.
That's absolutely.
So there's a pattern now. Norkers have to understand there is a pattern that is occurring in our leadership that they need to pay attention to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now you got that hot mess down there at the Newark Housing Authority. But guess what? Newark residents from Terrell Homes said enough is enough. We're going to fight you back. We're going to come down here and tell the truth. And they did. And we should support them for that. You know what the people were saying? The big people, because I'm calling the big, get rid of those people. They can't tell us what to do. Norkers. They can't tell us what to do. We're going to tear it down anyway. We're going to get rid of Keith Kennard anyway. We ain't doing no repairs. We're going to put all of these unqualified people off the street and the housing authority. We got to pay these people.
Right.
They don't come to work.
But we keep calling it. We keep talking, folks, about this culture that exists at 920 Broad Street that is permeated.
Wait a minute. Now what's the Newark Housing Authority building? It's the whole damn block. It's 500 on Newark Board of Education and City Hall. I mean, my God. I mean, you talking about Mismanagement Row? That's what we need to call Broad Street now. Mismanagement Row. Yeah. I mean, come on. The families. You talking about food insecurities? Could you imagine what these families must be fearing in Terrell Homes? It might not be the best place.
But it's home.
But I think those people under these circumstances would work with anyone to kind of restore some sort of normalcy to their lives. These families must be petrified.
I'm sure they are.
You know, because there's not a lot of places to send them. You know, because if you talk about moving to affordable housing, you got to have a certain income.
So the question for me, and I got to ask this question again, is who's advocating for these folks?
Well, first of all, let's just say this. They're advocating for themselves.
No, and I appreciate the fact that they're advocating for themselves.
And I think that good people of goodwill are all having conversations with people that live in Terrell Homes and employees that work for the Newark Housing Authority, and they're all concerned. I'm not going to suggest that some leaders in the city of Newark are not concerned, but it starts at the top.
It does.
Well, wait a minute. I got one better for you. And not only starts at the top, but where's the municipal council? I mean, come on. You don't get me started on that. I mean, the municipal council has a role to play in this discussion. And that's exactly what I tell Gail. I say, Gail, your colleagues, it just can't be you. It just can't be you, Gail. Your colleagues, as a group of people, they have the responsibility to help those people.
So here's some of the people that are listed on the website according to Dawn. Thank you, Dawn. Charles
Dawn.
Bell, Angela Palmer, Fausto Baez.
Oh, Fausto, I know Fausto.
Right, Dolores Lewis, Edward Os. That's Eddie. Is that Councilman Osborne? Right, and Martinique Costa. So I would love to have the board members come on and explain because they watch.
Oh man, stop playing! Stop playing.
Well, but you know what though?
Stop playing.
But listen,
well, I got to tell you this though.
But listen, but we should begin to leverage the influence that the show has, Kev,
absolutely,
and the listeners. And this is why it's important when I say to you guys, make sure you're sharing the episodes, make sure you're tuning in, make sure you tell people to tune in, because folks will respond when they see that we have numbers, right?
Let me tell you how bad it is. Keith Kennard's contract was up.
Mm-hmm. So
instead of the administration or the board calling him in to have a responsible leadership discussion about moving on. You know what they did? They took the they read a letter into the record basically firing him at the board meeting. Here's a guy that's been there all those years, producing all that value for the citizens of Newark, producing great quality housing for the city of Newark, addressing the real affordable housing issue that we always talk about, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, doing major projects. You know what they did? They read into the record the letter firing him. I mean, what professional board does that? Now, if you're not going to renew his contract, then don't renew it.
And so what reason did they give for not? Did they give one?
It's called ghetto politics. That's what it's called. ghetto politics.
So they didn't feel the need to, for all of the good work that he did, they didn't feel the need to answer to anybody.
No, wait though. Now everybody wants to run away from it, right? The administration wants to run away from, well, we didn't know. But this is the only I don't know administration in America, right? And then the young man is sitting there in front of all of his peers, right, made to look like a fool.
Wait a minute, so they didn't know what? That he was being let go?
Yeah, well, no, that they were going to handle it that way. Or I got one better for it, or be let go. Right? So now we're getting ready to lose.
So here's an administration that is involved with the housing authority to the point
of hiring 100 people.
Of sending that. See, that's what I say. I want to unpack it, like you say, right?
Unpack it.
So they're involved in as much as they want to bring unqualified people down. They want to blow up the budget. They want to create a scenario now where people are going to be furloughed and possibly be laid off, where you've got the Terrell people going to be displaced out of Terrell homes, where you've got thousands of people who are waiting for repairs and can't get them done because so they've created this imbalance down there and they don't know.
Listen, what they're saying right now. Let me tell you what they're saying right now. Let me tell you what they're saying right now. They're saying, well, why is Kevin doing this? Because I'm an investor. I'm a stakeholder. I was born and raised in this town, and I will not tolerate fake leadership, like fake news. I will not tolerate that. We have to fight back. I mean, I'm committed to that now because, listen, we would not be having this conversation if this wasn't going on. You and I wouldn't be talking about, we're going to be talking about Trump soon, right?
Right.
We're going to be talking about, tax policy, correct? Okay, we're going to be talking about, an Affordable Care Act, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're capable of doing that. But we live in a town where we're seeing mismanagement happen every day. So how can I talk about Trump? How can I talk about, the World Economic Conference on Education, right? That I want to talk about that's here. And
right.
How can I get to that when I'm seeing this every day?
I agree with you. People say to me the same thing. They say, well, Eric, your show seems to be focused on Newark. And I said, well,
every show in America is focused on the president, Donald Trump.
That's
right. And I live in a town that I could talk about the leadership, down the food chain.
And we're not just talking about Newark. We're talking about the greater Newark area.
Absolutely.
And then outside of that, if time permits.
Did you have the mayor of Orange on?
I did.
Did you have the mayor of Irvington on?
I've had the mayor of Irvington on. I've had the mayor of East Orange on.
Have you picked up the paper lately and saw something that demonstrates when the Orange, when it was happening in the Orange, did you not speak about the FBI?
I did. I've had 2 gubernatorial candidates on. So I've had the Speaker Emeritus on. Come on. You know what I'm saying? So we talk about these things, but all politics, what do they say? They're local.
It's local. And these are the same people that marched up and down Broad Street. Now we got to add 500, so they marched 500 to Newark Public School, to City Hall for years.
Right.
Even when we had great economic growth, even when the city was growing like enormously, it was never good enough, right? So my thing is, don't whine now. Rise to the occasion.
Right.
Prove us wrong.
Right. Well, what did Mayor Gibson say? He said wherever America is going.
Yeah, Newark is going.
Newark is going to get there first. So if we're going to talk about America, right, we got to talk about Newark. Right, well, let's talk about what Newark is doing and how Newark is doing.
We as African Americans and Latinos, or people of color, however you want to, politically correct say it, we need to wisen up. The world is changing quickly. The economies are shifting quickly. Government, our national government our president has sent us a clear message. I'm not worrying about you anymore. I'm worrying about Middle America. Middle America that believes we're going to make America great again. So forget about the Civil Rights Act. We got to go back to Jim Crow. Forget about the Voters Act. We got to stop you and suppress votes. Look, we're suppressing votes in our own community, right? Forget about the Civil Rights Act. I'm going to take those civil rights back from you. And when I wake up every morning, right, the other day, and we're going to get to this, helicopters over my house all day. I mean,
dude.
I got to talk about that.
Was that 7 shot, 2 murdered? And then I read last night somebody was in their window and they heard 12 gunshots go off. But
let's get back on to stay on the Newark Housing Authority.
All right.
If Keith Kennard leaves the Newark Housing Authority right now, at this present moment, whenever he decides to do, he's a grown man. I don't have that kind of discussion with him. As a matter of fact,
is he out or no?
Well, his contract is not being renewed.
Okay, so then he's going to be out.
So let's forget all of the projects that's going to deal with the affordable housing of the city of Newark.
And now let me ask you a question before you go further. What, if anything, can residents, those who are listening, right, and those who may listen later, what can they do? So we're telling them all of
the housing advocates that we know should be standing up, right, and lending their voice, and I think they're doing that. The local elected officials, the municipal council, should be challenging and pushing back on the fact that not only is closing Terrell Homes a bad thing, right, but we really need to have some coherent.
So where's the council?
Well,
so now we know where the administration is. We know that they were flooding it with jobs.
All I know is this. I know that, and I can only speak to this. Now, that's not to suggest. Let's be clear. It's not to suggest that I know everything that's going on in city government, but I understand that Gail has been talking about it, about Terrell Homes, and she's been listening to the residents because Gail is very sensitive to that, right? So now I can't say if her other colleagues aren't, but let me tell you something. I've been around long enough to know if somebody else was lending their voice to this, I would know or you would know, right? I don't hear anybody lending their voice to this at all. So at the end of the day, I believe the citizens of Newark and Terrell Homes did go to the city municipal council meeting and tell them that they are afraid for themselves. And I think Gail was having a dialogue with those residents because she understands that. She understands that. So I don't know what the council is doing, but I do know one thing. There was a letter written to the board of directors that told them to vote to close Terrell Homes down. But let me tell you what happened. The board members didn't second it. So that says something good is happening. They just got to keep that up. Right. So all of you at home that don't know about this issue, call your friends at Terrell Homes. Call your housing advocates. Call your council people. Tell them you don't want Terrell Homes closed down. Because see, once you do that, and I've been a part of these kinds of shifts in the marketplace when it comes to housing. Some of us do them well, some of us do them poorly. But this will send a terrible message because this administration has been talking about affordable housing.
Right.
So, wait a minute. That's a contradiction, right? That's a contradiction. And then you're going to get rid of the guy that possibly could fix it or create a more innovative process of kind of, re-engineering what Terrell Homes looks like, right? Because it takes a lot to do this. It's hard work. Now, I'm not suggesting it's not, but it's hard work. So, right now, we have the bowels have been broken on the management side of the Newark Housing Authority. Leadership is in question. The employees are devastated because that extra money to feed themselves, that extra money to pay their student debt, the extra money to help their grandkids in school, the extra money to help pay some of their bills for their kids. Look, I subsidize my kids. So, and I'm like, I shouldn't subsidize you for anything, but I'm subsidizing my kids.
So I would like to know, guys.
So come on, folks.
Where the and then maybe what we'll do during
there's
the break.
A pattern here.
Maybe during the break, I'll actually reach out, see if we can get the councilman of the East Ward on the line, or somebody from his office to tell us where he stands on this. That'd be very interesting, right?
But he stands on it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I would love to hear.
Do we not know where he stands on it?
I don't know.
So we what I'm gonna do, Kev? I'm gonna see if we can take a break, right? And we're gonna put this to the test.
It says here, it's tough year right now. NHA Executive Director Keith Kennard. Well, I don't know how long he's gonna be director. He said the forced furloughs, which apply to all 340 employees, will save about $1.2 million and avoid layoffs of any full-time staffers. Now, isn't that interesting? 1.2. His budget ballooned to 1.2 because of all of the forced hires. So if he just got rid of the forced hires and got rid of their huge payouts, he wouldn't have that problem. Maybe somebody in the housing authority will be able to get their apartment fixed.
So can you just I'm going to ask the question, can we just lay those people off who were hired? Almost like the first
Well, first of all, they don't have no business being there in the first place.
No, I get that, but can we do that?
Well, that's up to wait a minute, listen, that's a strange question because we shouldn't have never gotten to this point because the board of directors, who has a fiduciary responsibility, was not supposed to let that happen. So the same thing, this is very interesting. I didn't know Cory Booker. I was not a supporter of Cory Booker at all, right? But the same thing that this administration accused Cory Booker of doing, they're doing on steroids. On steroids. And the Cory Booker administration, I don't believe, and somebody should come online and tell us that they did furloughs. I don't believe that. So I would love to know that. If somebody knows that, please qualify what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'd like to know too. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a
It says here, it says a union person said, they're the people who take care of the buildings and take care of the grounds. People who do plumbing, Lur Sorrent said, this is going to be reduced services in those tenants. Now, here's a leader, talking about this is going to have a major impact on the citizens. And the citizens, too. The citizen. Well, your service to citizens, right?
Right.
So, now, this is what's happening in Newark.
Right in your backyard, people.
We got a $1.1 billion, $1.2 billion, right, that are going to be managed by people that don't understand how to manage a budget at the Newark.
We're going to
NPS.
We're going to get into that because what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how these guys who are making these decisions at 920 Broad Street and they're wrecking the housing authority, how those same folks said we want to get local control and we want to keep it, and we already explained to you why local control was removed. All of the issues, right? So a lot of the issues that were taking place at 2 Cedar Street that caused the state to come in and take over are the kinds of things that are taking place right now.
Identical. Don't be surprised if the federal government doesn't step in and take over the Newark Housing Authority. Don't be surprised, because at the end of the day, somebody's going to call for that. Just be certain that somebody's going to sue the Newark Housing Authority, and that's going to start an avalanche of investigations.
And the crazy part is people say to us, why are you talking about it?
Because you know why? You know why? Because it's important news. Listen, this show is about informing people.
Inform, engage, and empower.
There you go.
We'll be right back.
Splash Radio 94.3. Reggae. Dance hall. Soca. Hip hop and R&B. African. Disco. Oldies but goodies.
Hi, this is Janet Jackson.
We're bridging the gap. Seriously. Splash Radio 94.3 New Jersey.
Well, we're moving on now to the time, to a deluxe apartment in the sky.
Hi, this is McBoomin Moving. Box truck for rent for all your light moving needs. Anywhere within the North, East Orange, Irvington, Orange areas. $50 a trip from Monday through Thursday. $60 from Friday through Sunday. Call 862-279-9300. That's 862-279-9300.
You're listening to the Eric Dawson
Okay.
Radio
Well, if
Show.
he does, I ask him to try to reach out to me online.
FM.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Eric Dawson. This is the Eric Dawson Radio Show, 94.3 FM. So, Kev, I called the office while I was on break.
Oh, great.
They said the councilman was out right now. He'd be going for another hour. I said that, well, we'll be on the show for an hour and 10 minutes. So when he gets back, if he has time to call in, we'd love it. If not, maybe we can get him to respond tomorrow, in terms of what his stance is on what's going on in Terrell.
Well, yeah, I think he would answer it. I mean, he's professional enough to answer.
Well, I think yeah.
But Terrell Holmes is a very serious issue. I mean, but what we've been talking about for the last half an hour to an hour is the continued mismanagement of our local.
And that's really the bigger thing.
And
the mismanagement.
people are being harmed. It's like anybody that invests in my company or invest in me, I have to do the best job that I possibly can do to give them a huge return on their investment, right? And we're not getting a return on our investment. And we need to talk about it. We need to question it. Because that's what we do with our leaders. That's what we do with our community leaders. In church, that's what, Pastor Slaughter was talking about. We have to challenge each other to do better and be better. And be about the truth, not about the illusion of what we want people to think we are and what and not to accept criticism or try to react to that in a positive way to get things done just says a lot about your character.
Right.
It says a lot about your character.
It does. And so when we go down that character line,
Right.
when we talk about mismanagement at the highest levels within our municipality, Newark, then we look and say that they're now marching down from 920 Broad Street to 2 Cedar Street, wringing their hands, waiting for local control, waiting to be able to make decisions about the hirings and the firings and the contracts and all of those kinds of things. My question is whether or not we can trust that they would be responsible at 2 Cedar Street when they've shown absolute irresponsibility at the housing authority.
Absolutely not. And everybody knows that to be true. Nobody in their
then,
right mind
but
will trust that.
if people knew that, Kev, I mean, we had an election. Everybody knew.
Well, the
local control was
mandate,
coming.
but listen.
Yeah, but
the indictment. Listen, Newark has lost a part of itself after this particular school board election, and I think the discussion that we had for that week, we informed a lot of people what was going on. So I'm going to trust that Newarkers are paying attention, and they're going to have another shot at it. And but they don't have to wait until next year to get involved. The school board is going to be active, making decisions about their children's future. Right?
Oh, did you see what we did? Listen, I'm excited about this, Kev. I went online and I said, hey, look, I want to bring together a community of people.
Right.
To do, I mean, we do watch parties for elections. We do watch parties for fights. We do watch parties for all these things. I said, why doesn't the community have a watch party for the board meeting?
Oh, really? That's great.
Right? So I'm in the process of creating a Facebook page where the community can come, and I have, I think, 6 or 7 people signed up now who said they would be a part of a round robin to show up at the board meetings to stream live on Facebook.
That's great.
So that the whole community can get involved, and we can get into the dialogue. And then what we can do is use the show as an extension of that to be able to go in and communicate with those people in that thread and then help unravel the mysteries of the
Well, whoever the governor is in the future, and I'm hoping that it's Murphy, I'm praying that it's Murphy, I think that he's going to have to look himself in the mirror and say, do I really, really want to do that? Give them back local control based on what I've been seeing thus far. The district has been irresponsible, I mean, at the highest level. And the leadership, and that's not, and I got to be clear, not all of the people on the school board are mentally incapacitated. Okay. I mean, let's say that. Let's be clear. I don't want to paint in broad strokes.
Right.
Because that's not fair and it's not right. There are some people on that school board that get it. And we should commend them, and we should be communicating with them, and we should be trying to give them as much support as we possibly can. So I just wanted to say that. And I believe that if we don't pay attention to this school board and what they're doing with our children, we're just going to continue to miss the boat. I mean, the world is changing. Right now, it says here, on April the 5th, the Center for Universal Education hosted its annual Research and Policy Symposium on the global movement toward recognizing breadth of skills within education systems, as detailed in this report. This is a Brookings report. But it says, in the Skills for the Changing World project, we are exploring the new demands placed on education in the 21st century and how education systems are responding to them. There have been increased calls globally for students to develop a broader set of skills during the years of formal education than in the past. Education has typically been seen as a preparation for adulthood and its work-related responsibilities. Recently, however, the focus on academic, vocational, and technical skills has shifted toward an aspiration for education to inform both work and life more generally. Now, the Brookings Institute did the symposium. The world is talking about education.
Not Newark.
Not Newark.
Not Newark.
Not Newark.
Not Newark.
Okay, now when we talk about re-engineering,
we talk about relationships, friends.
Right. When we talk about re-engineering, now this is the Brookings Institute.
Right.
So the people on this show do read, and we do background research on what we're talking about. So we're just not talking from an emotional space.
That's right.
We're not talking from, you need to support me because I'm your friend space. I'm saying to you, the world is changing on the education and on the education debate. The world, right? So Newark, as of last week, failed. They got an F.
But wait a minute, but now they may get another F. My understanding is that the mayor is currently pushing Marquise Lewis to be president of the Board of Education.
Well, I don't know that to be true. So I don't know that.
Well, so I got a phone call. Right? So my hope is that that's not the case.
Well, guess what? Can I be honest with you?
Can
I be honest with you? Can I be honest with you? Really, wait, go ahead. Does it really matter? I mean, let me tell you what I mean, but does it really matter?
Symbolism.
Okay, but the symbolism, we just failed because only 7,000 some odd people came out to vote, right?
Right.
In this last school board election, they stayed home. They're angry. They didn't stay home because of the rain. They are angry. They are angry at their leadership. They are angry because they are confused about what we value as human beings, right? They are angry because we're not talking to them directly. But let me just say, the symbolism, the negative symbolism already occurred.
But I want to talk about the people who are angry for a second.
Yes, sir.
Right? For all of you all who say I'm angry, who agree
I
with
said
Kevin,
that. I said
No,
that.
but I'm going to say who agree with Kevin. That you're angry and you didn't come out because, you looked at what was going on. You saw the backroom deal that was cut. You saw all of the things that were happening. This is what I'm going to say. You all had a chance to take that anger and focus it on something good. And you had an opportunity to elect Dr. Deborah Terrell You had an opportunity, but they had an opportunity.
Right.
Forget about the mailers, forget about the amount of money that came out. You guys had an opportunity, and you failed too. So not only did the power brokers fail, I say that the community could have and should have come out. I think I mentioned this to you.
Serious indictment.
Serious indictment.
Serious indictment.
I saw a post on, and I want to get back to the Brookings Report in a second, but I saw a post this weekend that really rubbed me the wrong way. One of the candidates that both of us supported, Charles Love, posted on his Facebook page, and he said, "I want to thank all my supporters." And then I quickly saw it seemed like a matter of minutes, 240 people came and hit like. And I laughed, right? And then I got angry. Like, it was a quick laughter, and then I was angry because I said, wait a minute. And I did some really quick math. And then I went in the thread, and I said, hey, you know what? On election day, I contacted personally 35 people and told them to come out and vote. And my 35 people assured me that they did vote. I said in that thread, if each of you all, the 244 people, would have gone and done half of that and gotten 15 people to come out and vote, we would have been at Charles's celebratory party.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at the likes and I'm saying, well, where's the correlation to the effort?
Well, you know what the debate has been thus far? Well, you're bringing up something very credible. The debate thus far has been who won the election. I mean, it is just laughable, right? It is laughable. So let's talk about that for a second. Anibal Ramos did a great job in the North Ward galvanizing his base to come out and vote.
Always does.
He always does, because that's their trend. That's what they do, right? That's all they're very good at this. So let's give them credit for that. You know what people are saying now? Because the press is deeming him the kingmaker. So, okay, that's the press. If the press wants to build a narrative like that, that's fine. But guess what? You can't take away from the fact that he did a good job. Okay, last year, all right, Kim Gaddy came in #1. Gail endorsed Kim Gaddy. Right?
Right.
I give her credit for endorsing Kim Gaddy and getting somebody on the school board that she thought might lend some credibility to it, right? Questionable. But
when she endorsed Kim Gaddy, who did the mayor endorse at that time?
He endorsed this other young lady. She came in 3rd. Maybe you can find. I just can't. My brain doesn't work that far.
Wait a minute. And the unity slate last year was Kim Gaddy. I know who she was.
So somebody can Padilla, and Tabe is a great guy. I grew up with Tabe, right? I grew up with him. But just think about it. So now, last year, Gail supports the ticket, right? Their person, the charter school person, comes in first. This year, Anibal Ramos supports the ticket. His person comes in first. Last year, the administration's candidate came in 3rd, and this year, their real candidate came in 6th. Pat Bradford, right? Okay, so why can't we just give
Leah Owens?
Leah Owens, right? And she's a very independent person. Mm-hmm. She speaks her mind. I've heard a lot about her. I've never watched her up close in person, but she seems to be very competent, and she seems to want to do the right thing on the school board. So now their person comes in 6th. So everybody's running around beating up on Anibal because the press is saying he's the kingmaker. Okay, if he's the kingmaker for saving them, let's give the man credit, right? We just give the young man credit. He saved the day. So let's not take that from him, like I wouldn't take anything from them, right? So now, what I'm seeing trending-wise, right, their person came in 3rd last year, their person came in 6th this year, right? So at the end of the day, we got to speak the truth. We can't make up stuff as you go along. And this whole thing, somebody called me up this weekend talking about, well, they're happy about Newark's 3.0. We don't need...
What is Newark's 3.0?
Somebody was saying, well, we're supporting Newark is moving forward, 3.0. And I was like, well, that's ridiculous. We shouldn't worry about 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. I just want somebody to do their job. That's all I want. I mean, everybody wants to market some bull crap, right? The fact of the matter is we just want the leaders, the municipal council, and the mayor, and all of the other leaders in the town to do their job, right? Just do their job. So let's give the young man Anibal Ramos credit. I mean, come on, he get credit. He can celebrate like Gail celebrated last year, right? Yeah, let's make it happen.
We're going to take this break. We'll be right back.
The current time,
Splash Radio 94.3. Reggae, dance hall, soca, hip-hop and R&B, African, disco, oldies but goodies.
Hi, this is Janet Jackson.
We're bridging the gap. Seriously. Splash Radio 94.3 New Jersey.
Well, we're moving on now to the time to a deluxe apartment in the sky.
Hi, this is McGooman Moving, box truck for rent for all your light moving needs. Anywhere within the Northeast Orange, Irvington Orange areas. $50 a trip from Monday through Thursday. $60 from Friday through Sunday. Call 862-279-9300. That's 862-279-9300.
What I am doing? Downloading the Western Union app. I need to send money to my auntie in Nigeria. What I am doing now? Checking today's exchange rate to Nigeria on the Western Union app. Now I'm sending my auntie money to help her with her groceries.
Download the Western Union app today. Use it to check today's exchange rate and send money to loved ones in Nigeria. Western Union, moving money for better.
Western Union makes money from currency exchange. Carefully compare fees and exchange rates, which may vary and are subject to change. NMLS number 906983.
For the most authentic Caribbean food in town, check out Sunsplash Caribbean Bakery and Restaurant. They got the natural organic juice bar that'll get your day started right. Like the Power Punch, the Vegan Juice, the Mega Green, Roots like the Immortal and the Resurrection. And peep this, they have an extended bakery department that whips up my favorite, the hot Hardo breads. White or wheat, that's your choice.
If you're feeling hungry, just grab a bite. Sunsplash Bakery and food is right. Jamaican party, like all our veggies. Sunsplash Bakery and food is right. Mix the deal up with it, meal paradise. Sunsplash Bakery.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they also cater to vegans and vegetarians. With the Ital stew and the Ital aki, the soul jerk salmon and mango tilapia. And of course, they got the usual curry goat, oxtail, brown stew chicken, jerk chicken, and so much more. I mean, their menu is extended and they're highly rated. Your best bet is to just stop by or give them a call. They're open Monday through Wednesday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Thursday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sundays, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. They're located at 56 Main Street in Orange, New Jersey, and can be reached at 973-395-3777.
Eat out your hungry days. When you come home, food up on the empty plate. Long time when they are we sit on the wait. Sunsplash restaurant and run the place. Every man we get up on the case, yeah.
Let your food be a medicine. Eat well, live longer. I'm David Shepard and I endorse this commercial.
Yo, this is Splash Radio and the #1 radio station in New Jersey. What are them?
Well, I don't know, so Mr. G represent for 94.3 FM Splash Radio. We don't splash out the music on them.
Hey, this is Eric Dawson, and we're back. This is the Eric Dawson Radio Show. I guess OB says that I should play the intro back. So you know, I guess I'm gonna do that, and we'll sound real official.
Thank God you got an engineer around.
The Eric Dawson Radio Show on 94.3 FM.
Yeah, man. So now we're officially back for the second hour of the show. So I just want to read a couple comments before we get back on the education piece. You had Osman Shabazz, who joins me. He and I co-host together an internet show on Wednesday, Real Talk Radio. He said, tear down Terrell Holmes. And then, you know, you have some other folks say, you know, Councilwoman Cheneyfield is an advocate for the people. And then there was another comment that said that furloughs are common in municipalities because they oftentimes encounter budgetary issues and it prevents layoffs.
That's not true. If you manage from the beginning, that does not happen. If you manage your budget from the beginning, that does not happen.
Would you suggest? So, well, you know who else is doing furloughs?
Who's that?
In Irvington.
Well, then that something's wrong.
Right. So they had they had a budget issue of $3 million. I think it's $3 million. It was in the paper.
You project your budget for the year.
Right.
Right. You project that. Mm-hmm. So if you have a furlough, that means that your projections are wrong. So that means either you hire too many people, or too many people are getting paid salaries they shouldn't be getting, or you're not generating enough revenue. Now, Irvington might not be generating enough tax revenue because they haven't had the big boom, economic boom that Newark has had, right? So, listen, you know, it's something that you can project that's going to happen. So, furloughs
So
are
it
not.
shouldn't be common.
It shouldn't be common. No, absolutely not.
And then your thoughts on the comments of Terrell Holmes.
Oh, well, I don't agree at all. I don't agree. See, when you tear down something, you have to have a strategy.
Right.
So if you have, just say, 150 tenants, right? Well, that should have been a 6-month, 7-month, 8-month, 10-month plan. So when you tear it down, you've built a real strategic. You've laid out a strategic plan with some coherent. With a
So
coherent
you're not necessarily
statement.
against tearing it down. You're simply saying because there was no plan to do something else.
No,
the idea
they're just going to give the
saying we're
people
gonna-
vouchers. So when they say, "Oh, we're going to put you in other public housing," that's not a plan. That's not a plan. So tearing it down, no, I don't agree with that because there's no plan. But we should have explored several areas. Like, okay, how do we re-engineer the site? Well, do we tear part of it back here and put, maybe some affordable housing with home ownership? But to tear the whole site down tells me one thing. One developer is going to get that site.
Uh-oh.
Okay?
So we're back
One
to the whole
developer
money
is going to
thing.
get that site. Follow the money. I'm in the development bit. I've been doing this all my life. I know how this works. Now, don't get me wrong. They might develop a wonderful project down there, but there ain't going to be no black folks down there.
I think that once black folks leave, they're never coming back.
There ain't going to be no black folks
I don't think they're ever coming back.
I'm
once
sorry
they're
to
gone.
say that. Don't be offended. There ain't going to be no black folks down there.
So, back to the education piece.
Yeah. Okay, so where you want to go back? So well, first of all, let's talk about, there was somebody emailed me. I didn't know that I was quoted in the paper this morning. Do you have that article around somewhere? Because I don't know what they're talking about. Oh, so leave it to you. You would have it, right?
Yeah.
They were talking about they're saying, did you read the article where you were quoted?
Well, there may be a couple quotes, but this one says, if Aníbal Ramos wouldn't have been heavily involved, they wouldn't have swept, said Kevin Jenkins. Right?
I talked about that already. I didn't know.
Right.
Okay, so somebody,
So I don't, here's another, Aníbal comes, now I don't know if this is you.
No, that's not me. I don't know.
Aníbal comes out as definitely the current political power broker. Did you say that?
No,
That's a
I would no,
quote.
no, I don't talk like that.
It also signifies that folks weren't 100% satisfied with the quality of candidates. Was that you?
I don't know. I don't know what they said.
Because they didn't attribute that quote. It's quoted, but they didn't attribute that to anybody.
Okay. No, I didn't read it yet, but I plan on reading it. But one of the things that if she quoted me correctly, because I did allow myself to be quoted, which I normally don't do. But what I was saying was, PC2E put out this crazy statement about, it was kind of strange, and I don't know if it's in there, but the parents, PC2E, the advocacy organization that was created to empower parents, did the opposite. They no longer have any credibility in the marketplace of education. They shouldn't have any more credibility. They went to Jersey City, did the same thing, failed, came back to Newark, failed again. And they have used or attempted to use these parents, and these parents said, in the words of Duran, no mas. That's not going to happen. We're not getting into bed with you. You did not listen to us. So PC2E doesn't have credibility anymore. Either they re-engineer that or they close that down. So, I don't understand how an organization like that goes behind closed doors and works against itself by giving $30,000 to the administration. And then I find out they not only just gave $30,000 to the administration, but they gave $30,000 down to in the East Ward also. And I'm trying to find that out.
I did not know that.
I'm trying to find that out also. And Phil Sellinger and his team did a fabulous job in the East Ward. They worked the East Ward. They did a great job. So he should be commended too, because they fought against status quo in the East Ward also.
All right, so I'm trying to pour through this article to see if I can find
See,
another quote. That's the only one that I see of you. But I do want to ask, because this is something that Muhammad Akil said. He said, while last year's victory was sweet, Tuesdays is one to savor.
Really? He's in denial. He must be drinking bad wine.
So, the spin game is going, right?
There is no spin game. It's the truth, right? That guy came in this town from Jersey City, right? And he had a grandiose plan of promoting himself instead of promoting parents, right? And he's failed. And he should be out, gone, done. No one in Newark, no parent that gets up every day to take their kids to school should trust a guy like that. Okay, he took outside money, right, that he could have possibly used for greater good by empowering the parents and building a strong advocacy organization to deal with the policies of education that are impacting our kids, like the Brookings Institute just laid out for us, right? What's going to be what's going to be happening in the future. He didn't do that. He came in here to try to build a name for himself, right, and failed at that. Went back to Jersey City. So this guy spent over $1 million. $1 million to fail. And then he wants to, read that quote again, please.
Oh, wait, no, here you go. So, see, I put in Kevin Jenkins, and so it says, Jenkins added that PC2E didn't have the support of parents. Parents that wanted to participate in the process were left out in the cold.
Yeah, well, that's a fact. That's obvious, right?
Right.
The charter school candidate came in third. 800, 900 votes between Charles Love, who's a parent advocate and trainer and development person. They were 900 votes differential. So I think maybe 900. I might be off. But let me just say this to you. Yeah. So they came in and spent all of that money and got no return from. If I was an investor in PC2E, I would be screaming. You went from #1 last year to 3 this year.
Well, I put out a NORC report.
You put out a NORC report?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
I put out.
You don't send me stuff. You got to send it to me.
I put it out last night, man, because I found out that this woman, Shelley Skinner, was also involved.
Oh, really?
And she's a person from Jersey City, along with Mohammed Akil, and that.
Well, who's running? Can I ask you, who's running Newark? Is Jersey City running Newark? Is Mayor Fuller running Newark? Somebody got to let me. If I hear another Jersey City person over here involved in our politics, I'm gonna be ill. So who's running Newark?
Well,
I mean, are you kidding me?
Money-wise, I mean, they seem to be the duo. I mean, really, they
Man,
seem to be. Somebody else tell me. Who else is there?
Hey, come on, man, stop playing. Hey, go ahead, read the quote. You're killing me over here now.
Now, I didn't know, though, in reading the article, that Black Alliance for Educational Options is defunct.
Well, it's not. Listen, let me just stop.
That's what it says.
Let me just say
now
that
defunct.
Bayo had the right intentions by opening up a Newark branch. They had some great community organizers, parent organizers, and they had some great people running the institution. Right? So there's this internal fight going on now. Who's the best advocacy organization? Bayo obviously has a longer history, right? And I believe National Bayo abandoned Newark Bayo. That's what I believe they did, right? Because National Bayo was only concerned about its own pocketbook, and now that DeVos is in, right, and running education in this country, they're already cozying up with her already. So Bayo at the national level, I'm very suspect of, right? But Newark's Bayo was really focused on the community. LeVar Young, he was focused on the community. He's been doing it for a number of years. There's a number of community organizers. I believe Chanel Duns was there, and I don't agree with Chanel all the time, but I knew she was committed to the city of Newark in its community, greater community, correct? So Bayo got pushed out. Bayo was pushed out, and Bayo National actually defunded it. So they didn't have any money to go further.
But okay, stop. Because at the top of this, and we haven't had this discussion.
Now remember, okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
Right, but at the top of this, you have an organization, Democrats for Education Reform.
Right.
Right. Shavar Jeffries ran for mayor, and he was the education candidate.
Right.
He knows intimately the issues facing Newark in particular. He sat on the Board of Education. He was the board president. Now on a national stage, he's talking about issues impacting urban.
Well, let's get. But you bring his name up, right? So let's just.
So I'm just trying to understand.
Let's unpack that.
When you're saying that Bayo was pushed out, that they were pushed out,
defunded.
that they were defunded, that all. I want to know where the advocates are. That's what I want to know. I want to know. So if we're understanding that they had a parent advocacy model in place, that they were doing good work.
Listen, parent engagement became the sexy term about 6 or 7 years ago, but everyone doesn't understand the time it takes to develop and empower parents and educate parents, right? Everybody wants to do a photo op, but then when parents start to ask questions, they're told, be quiet, you can't do that, you can't do this, and those parents say, oh, you can't tell us, you can't manage us like that. So when a parent gets empowered or a human being gets empowered, they start to ask questions, and the people that were empowering them will say, wait a minute, that's not why we helped you. We only helped you to do this.
Now, we helped you so you could help
right.
us.
So what the parents did, they sent a message. We ain't with that, as they would say. We ain't going with that. We're going to fight back. So that's why you saw the decline of the charter school candidate go to number 3.
Again,
Well, let's get back to the Shavar thing, because you threw his name out there. So let's talk about Shavar. Shavar is at the national level dealing with policies. The voucher issue is going to be very serious because DeVos is a big supporter of vouchers. And vouchers would have helped Catholic schools to stay open, and it would have given parents a little bit more choice. And I actually worked to develop a strategy to support vouchers, which I don't do anymore because I've seen the national trending. I've seen what has happened when they were using vouchers on some of the pallets around the country. So that's a very tricky thing. Now he's going to be dealing with other issues at the national level that I think he needs to stay focused on. And I think it's important that you have Democrats for Education doing that, because I've attended some of his seminars. I attended one in particular at the DNC in Washington, and he had a lot of brain power, congressmen and leaders talking about the future of education. But I believe, and this last election, let me go back with another step. When he ran, the charter school community didn't support him the way he thought.
Not at all.
So come on, he's got to be angry about that. I mean, all of that goodwill that they showed him regionally and nationally did not, translate into the streets, right?
That's absolutely right.
So the parents were already leery before then. Now they're even more leery because they gave PC2E a shot, and now they're like, you know what? We're not dealing with any of that stuff. So I can't blame him for that, but what I can do, this is a great opportunity for him, because he's a national leader on the education issue, to weigh in. He can weigh in now. He can say, hey, listen, I sat back, I watched this, I was working at the national level. Here's an opportunity for us to initiate another debate. That's a great opportunity for him. That's a great opportunity. So now if he cares about the issue, he'll do that.
So now here's the question that I have.
Am I making any sense to you?
You are making some sense. And again, we got a lot of people who are tuned in. Would love them to call in and weigh in, right? Especially some of the parents who say that nobody engages or works to empower you or advocates for you. With the lack of trust now, right? The PC2E just kind of steamrolled over parents for 2 years in a row, ignoring them.
The place should be closed down.
Right.
Period.
So, but no. But what happens to the parents?
Well, no. What happens to the parents is the parents that have been developed to understand this issue. They're out there working already. They're on the phones talking. They're communicating with their peers. They're saying, we want to work with people that want to work with us. We want to be able to re-engineer our public schools, right, and hold our charter schools accountable, right? So they're out there working. So I don't want to give anybody the impression that parents are not active. Parents are not active with those groups. Not Bail. Bail had nothing to do with this, but PC2E.
So when we look at a board meeting and we see low attendance, should we use that as a measuring stick to determine how engaged parents are?
No, we have to keep creating social media platforms to inform parents and inform community residents, inform small business, and inform the corporate community that we value education. Send a message to the world. Everybody that's on social media, everybody that's on the phone, everybody that understands the seriousness of what local control is going to have on our city, on our budget, on our taxes, and on our children. Talk to each other, communicate with each other. We understand that you are mired in so much stuff, but at least pay attention to what's happening to your community and to your children and to your families, right? Here's an opportunity to change that paradigm. So when we have these discussions, we're not asking for miracles, Eric, but we're asking for informed people to inform others about the seriousness of this education debate. The world is shifting, right? And our kids are lagging behind. So to have these very, very small, myopic conversations about education related to the public schools, the local control, that's too small for us. We have a crisis. There's a crisis in Newark. There's a crisis of confidence in Newark. So that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so if we can get parents and people that are listening to keep talking about the fact that we failed last week. Nobody should be raising their hand and saying we won. Because what did you win? To support status quo? What did you win? Support mediocrity? What did you win? Continuing to support failed leadership don't have your best interest? What do you win? Your kids' reading scores are the lowest nationally? What did you win? You talk about two Americas, I'm talking about two Newarks.
Absolutely.
Hello? Come on now.
Absolutely. Listen,
get focused, people.
Get focused, man. There was an article that you sent
What did you win?
To. The headline, I think I posted this. I'll post it again. The privilege of school choice.
Oh, from the Atlantic. Yeah. That's a heck of a document. Ooh. You gotta. Oh, it's serious. Man.
Man, so you see the
It's
fight.
very difficult to unpack this.
But top level, you see the fight in that community.
Yeah.
For good education. So the short of it is, district lines were redrawn. So there were some folks who invested in the community, and they had their kids. I think it was District 199.
199,
right?
yeah. Mhm.
And when they redistrict, their kids now were going to be going to District 191.
Right.
And those parents had a fit.
Yeah.
Because of the reputation, right, of 191. They said, wait a minute, we don't. That's not where.
Well, you know why? Well, you know
what we
But
signed up for.
But you know why they? You know why they had issue? Because those upper middle class people that moved their kids into that public school, right? They invested in it.
Right.
They raised over $200,000. Wait, well, I think the number was. It was a staggering number that they raised because they cared about their kids' education. We need to have just a show on this alone. Right?
No, we do. But
it says here a privilege. It says,
I just posted the article.
Oh, you
guys.
did? Okay, good.
Yep. For them to read.
But what is implying is that if you and I move into a district, and you and I had money, and we choose that public school over there, and we give all of our communities resources. We raise a tremendous amount of money for it. We support it. It's a public school, but we're going to give it what it needs to thrive.
Right.
And then it gets redistricted out, and then my kid has to go to another school. Those parents are saying, oh, heck no. That's wrong. Right? So they got to start all over.
But you know what, though? What I got out of it was that they didn't necessarily care starting all over, but they looked and said, well, in order for this new school, 191, to be as successful as 199 is, it's going to have parents like us.
Absolutely.
Right? So they didn't
right.
mind starting all over. They didn't mind the investment, but the question now becomes, if you have a school where you have a percentage of the parents who care, who are invested in the school, who are engaged, right, in what's going on, and then you have other parents who are not, what kind of school is it?
Listen, I want Rashawn Hassan to come on this. I want him to look at this and read. I want us to give his perspective. He's really evolving in the education.
Well, he's on tomorrow.
Good.
So we can forward this to him.
Oh yeah, well, we want to talk
so
about
I want to
this.
let you all know I posted this in here, and if you, I don't know what your schedule is like tomorrow.
Listen, you call me if he's on the show. I'm on the show.
All right, and then we'll spend the time talking about it because it's important, Kevin. Because when people talk about charter schools, traditional public schools, and I talk about culture in the school, right. So when you have a failing culture in a school, right, when you have disengagement in the school, parents want to extricate their children out of that environment.
But wouldn't you?
Those who and those who are concerned. But then when you have this argument, I think it's a false argument by people who have their own interests, who say, well, we're going to keep this traditional public charter school fight going, and everybody says, well, no, you just have concerned parents who want to get their kids educated.
And that is the message for the day. That's what we should be focused on.
And people should be fighting to get their kids educated for the day. And everybody's attention should be focused on those elected and selected leaders who are failing.
Listen. There was a study that was done. I'm quite sure anybody that reads the Star Ledger, I don't get a chance to read it often. It's like low on my list, but I do read it. The New Jersey Institute for Social Justice did a report. Now, I've been around a long time, and I don't know if you could post this report online for people to read, it would be really great, because this is an ongoing conversation that we should be having. Bridging the Americas, employment and economic opportunity in Newark and beyond. Well, I've seen so many of these reports. I really looked at it and said, I can't read another terrible report about the condition of Newark, right? But I think I commend them for doing this, right? I really do commend them for doing it, because we all need to be brought up to speed about where we are as a city and where we are as a nation and where we are as a community. And we see the divide, the economic divide that's happening in this country, and we see the economic divide that's happening in our city and in our county, right? So it's important when these reports come out. Michael Porter did a report in 2006 that was done by the Newark Alliance, the Empowerment Zone application that was submitted in the late 90s to compete for $100 million, really gave us a footprint of where the city of Newark should be going. The Newark Alliance did a report. The corporate community brought all the stakeholders together years ago and did a report. So I've seen these reports and read these reports over and over again. But this is the thing that concerned me. In reading it, there was a comment from the administration saying that they have a plan to, I think, create 20,000 or some odd amount of jobs. I'm like, that was not necessary.
Right.
That was not necessary. That's another declaration that you cannot qualify. And I'm like, the report is saying that we have to get down and really get our hands dirty to try to reverse these negative trends that are occurring in our community, right? So you can't go out and say, when you see that, oh, I got a plan. You do not have a plan because you don't have the capacity to understand the intricacies of how we get out of this. So when you talk about unemployment, right, and when you talk about how do we break the cycle of unemployment, you got to start with education. So you can't talk about you're going to create 20,000. How many jobs? You got to find that number for me. But it was a staggering number. That was another declaration. It's the same thing when they said we have the lowest crime rate in 50 years. Same thing when they said we have the lowest unemployment or whatever. I mean, that's not necessary.
But that's the same guy. But listen, none of you all should be shocked because he's the same guy who on the campaign trail said, hey, listen, if we can give brothers on the block $50 and $60 an hour jobs, it'll change their trajectory. And I'm scratching my head going, wait a minute. And people in the audience are cheering. So we have to change our thinking. Otherwise, the politicians won't. But you understand what I'm saying? Listen, if you're going to get applause for saying something like that, and you know that got you a victory, then you're going to keep on saying it. And until people push back against it and say, you know what, you're not making any sense to me.
Here's where it rubbed me the wrong way. Listen, I believe that all of us should have a big vision for our city. I believe all of us should want to, if it's 100,000 jobs, we should be supportive of that, right? But the reason why I'm not buying it is because the level of talent that we have running our government now is diminished at a level that I've never seen before.
We talked about this term, key performance indicators.
All right, so fine. So,
right.
Okay, key performance indicators. So right now, when I look at the talent pool that we have, I'm like, wait a minute, you got to be kidding me. Now, let me just give you an example. When the arena was being built, the professionals inside City Hall built the arena on budget, on time, on schedule, right? Black folk built the arena. There was nobody that flew out of Mars. So we had a talent pool in government that understood that. The same talent pool that went and got almost $1 billion, if not $1 billion, from the Newark Housing, from Port Authority, because they stole our money. Port Authority didn't give us the money because they thought they wanted to support Newark.
He's trying.
They stole our money.
He's trying.
So let's go back.
They said he's trying though.
Well, no, I'm not disqualifying now. I'm not disqualifying that they're trying. They are trying because it's just not him. They are trying, right? So the council, the mayor, the leadership of Newark, the corporate community. I know the games that they play. I'm an insider, right? So I understand how this is done. But when you make these declarations, which are not necessary, the comment should have been, we are tirelessly working to develop long-term strategies that will benefit our community and create long-term sustainable jobs. We're going to be working in conjunction with our corporate community, right, and the private sector or public sector to do a better job. We're not there yet, but don't make a declaration that you got a program to create 34. Not when our school system is failing, right? Not when our workforce is not prepared, right? That's living in denial to me, and I'm not going to accept that. I wouldn't accept it from any of my friends, right? So this is what it says here. It says, the city is the home of major Fortune 500 companies, world-class research universities, and cultural institutions, a dense network of manufacturing companies, and a large array of hospitals and community health centers. Okay, hospitals. When we had a chance to save hospital, he didn't do anything about it. 1,400 jobs. They already spent $30 million, already invested $30 million in the quarter. The small businesses that would have been closed are still thriving, right? I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. And better than that, the people that need proper health care get the access to go to that hospital. And they're treated with dignity, right? Okay, so now let's talk about education. They just allowed $42 million to go to a private developer. This has been the greatest opportunity to go to the Board of Finance and say, no, you're not going to give that $42 million to that developer. We're going to create a high-impact, sustainable project that's going to create jobs, and we're going to manage it because it's going to have, if we manage it well, it's going to have a positive impact on our taxpayers and have a positive impact on our community, and it's going to create jobs because we're going to show America that we care about our people so much. Okay. So manufacturing. Let's go back. World-class research. Well, we don't have a workforce developed to do that yet. We talked about on your show 500 times. Cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, nanotechnology. Developing computer systems using STEM. Well, we don't have a prepared workforce.
You know what my 95-year-old grandmother would say? I'm gonna let you keep going. Know what she would say?
What was your grandmother say?
She would say, as she sat in her rocking chair, "Boy, I can't see what you're doing. I can't. No, she said, I can't hear what you're saying for what you're doing."
Yeah, right.
Right? Remember that? So,
Right.
so the idea of, and I want you to continue down this path, but I want you all to remember, see, key performance indicators, the idea that you're saying one thing, but the idea of what you're doing doesn't equate. So you're talking about 20,000 jobs. But you're not talking about building up the workforce.
I don't know if it's 20. I gotta be honest with you. I don't know if it's 20,000. It was 20. I don't know.
It was close to that.
Somebody's got to tell me.
It was close to that. So I got Munira on the Munira. Do you?
Okay.
Yeah. Welcome to the show. Do you have that information? The actual number? I believe it was somewhere around there. Okay.
I don't know. I don't like to say things that I don't know for certain.
We'll get it there.
We'll get it. But let me just read this real fast. And Munira, she can hear it. All of them can hear it at home. It says, Newark residents who are employed in their city are concentrated in lower paying jobs in comparison with non-Newark residents. Now, this is what the report says, not Kevin Jenkins, not Eric Dawson. They hold 26% of jobs paying less than $15,000 annually in Newark, which are part-time jobs, and 28% of jobs paying between $15,000 and $40,000 per year. But only 10% of those jobs paying more. But only 10% of jobs paying more than $40,000 annually. In fact, 62% of Newark households qualify as ALICE. Now, I didn't even know what it meant, meaning that they are asset limited, income constrained, and employed. These residents do not have enough income to meet their basic needs for housing, health care, food, transportation, child care, let alone the funds to cover a financial emergency like a hospital visit. They are the working poor. Now,
wait, what percent is 60%?
Yeah.
60% working poor.
62%.
62% working poor.
But you can't address these issues, right, with the talent you have. And then when you go to the higher education community, I call them the missionaries of the city, right? Mm-hmm. They tell us that, oh, well, we're going to work with you and we're going to design something. No, it starts with us. It doesn't start with them.
That's right.
Okay? And I've been a part of those conversations, but I'm sitting in the room saying, what in the hell are you talking about? You stimulate your economy by doing basic things, right? Mm-hmm. You build a workforce for the 21st century by correcting your schools, right? And re-engineering your schools, right? It's simple. It's not complicated, but you just have to do it. You just have to do it. Newark, no one needs to tell me where Newark is in the region. Nobody needs to tell me we have the greatest port in the world.
Yes, it was 20,000. No, the number was 20,000 by 2020. 20,000. Thank you, Munira. 20,000. So I want you to understand that.
First of all, where we are right now, I even know that's not correct. But here's the deal. You can't say that the construction jobs qualify for that 20. Because they're not long-term jobs. They're short-term jobs.
Correct.
And unions who I support, I'm a union baby, right? My parents, my mother, my father, my great-grandfather, they were all union people. I dare say there's not a large portion of African Americans continuing to work for those unions. I'm telling you. So when unions stand up and tell me we're doing a great job for African Americans in our community, I say, come on, stop lying. Stop lying. Don't get me wrong. I like some of the stuff you do, but stop lying. You are taking care of your membership.
Absolutely.
Now, I ain't running for nothing. So wait a minute. I ain't running for nothing. So I can tell them, stop lying. Because I can go on your site next week someplace else, right? And those African Americans that are working your site now will not be there. So there's no sustainability. So you can't make these declarations that we're gonna have a 20. Come on, man. I'm like, come on, guys.
Well, so beyond him making the declaration,
I can't stand declarations. Everybody at home knows I cannot stand.
But there needs to be pushback in the community, and so part of what I'm concerned about again is, folks. I mean, he says it, and there's no pushback. There's no challenging it. There's no because I believe that well, we talk about low information, so I don't know that people really are connecting the dots. I'm sorry, Kev, but that's exactly where I am, man. I don't believe that people are connecting the dots the way that we're connecting them, where we say, here's a guy who talks on this end about 20,000 jobs by 2020, but you don't see the key performance indicators. You don't see the things in place. And so for you guys, because what's his name, Farrakhan said, oh, speak to them like whatever. So I'm going to say this. If you tell me that you're baking a cake, but I come in the kitchen, right, and you don't have no flour, you don't have no eggs, you don't have no milk, you don't have no butter, you don't have no sugar, I'm going to say you ain't baking no cake. So the same thing. If he's saying he's going to create 20,000 jobs, but the workforce development isn't robust, if the school system isn't being repaired, if those things that are necessary in order to qualify people for these jobs aren't being done, he's not going to be doing it. Let's just be clear on that.
Let's be fair. I think that is a great vision to have. If you had the talent to produce that value, I'm just saying. I dream of having 100,000.
Oh, see, dream, right?
I dream of having 100,000 people. I mean, you got to have a vision. You got to have vision, right? But I can see right now by those indicators that is never going to happen. That's never going to happen. Now, if I saw a professional group of people working in the building that had the skill set, that can build an arena, can build the art center, that can build 20,000 new homes, that can, they can transform Elizabeth Avenue. I would say, hey, listen, these guys good. They got a great team. We should be supporting this because that's what we've done in the past, right? So I don't see that. I see a bunch of guys, bunch of girls walking around City Hall doing absolutely nothing. I have no vision, no purpose, but you know what they do? They salute.
Oh.
They salute. Salute for what?
Amen. So, I mean, we could be done talking about Newark, but now you understand why we.
Well, first of all, this report, this report is important. This report,
it is.
What we talked about on the Atlantic, that Atlantic article is important. So you're going to be on the air. I'm going to break my butt to get here tomorrow. This is important.
It is.
You talked about skills.
You
talk about skills for a changing world, national perspective, and global movement. That connects to our education debate, right?
All of it does.
So wait a minute, though. You said the Brookings Institute, skills for change, a global movement. Hey, come on. You want to keep talking about it? And now, listen, we haven't gotten to the other stuff yet.
Right. And now, again, so as we look at this, and I want to try to keep bringing it home, you tell me, guys, the people who were just elected to the Board of Education to manage this, they don't have a clue. If we brought them on here to have these discussions, they wouldn't have a clue.
No, you know what they would do? I'm going to tell you what they would do. They'd do what a lot of people do. They get defensive. They get defensive and they say, oh, well, you're beating up on us. You're absolutely right. Listen, I mean, I've always said this to you, and I've said it to everyone that I've talked to. Gail Cheneyfield Jenkins does not get a bye. That's why she busts her butt all the time. Because you can't come into the Cheneyfield Jenkins household talking crap. You can't talk to my peers, and my peers challenge Gail. They're like, Gail, that is unacceptable, Gail. You have to do better than that. She gets that on the daily. I think she's sick of all of us, actually.
But here's my concern.
I think she can't stand
You know what my concern is, Kevin, really? So the discussion that we had over the 6 days or 7 days that we did Education Week, and the discussion we're having about these critical issues right now, the candidates had 2 debates. They had 2 debates.
Did they? I don't know.
And one was no, they had the one with the NAACP, which was horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And then they had the second debate, which they were given 45 seconds to give bullet point answers to questions. How do you know? Nobody gave the community adequate time to be able to evaluate these candidates. This is what I'm saying. So they ushered them to. So I'm talking about the elected leadership, the selected leadership, everybody, all of them.
Well, I don't know. I think
so. So should there be a listen? Should there be a surprise that nothing changes?
Well, I want it to change.
I want it to.
It's important. It's important for. It's important for my grandchildren. It's important for the families.
But I think wanting it to change and knowing that it's going to change are 2 different things.
Well, right now, if we had to, answer that question, with a yes or no, no, it's not going to change. No, absolutely not. It's not going to change. I am not confident that those people know what they're doing because I don't hear it.
And we need to have that, and we just need to have that straight, honest, balls out conversation. That I don't believe it's going to change.
Well, listen.
And then you know what you get called?
Listen,
you get called a hater.
You see, but
then you get, but then you understand. But that's part of the culture.
Well, I do hate. I hate all of that. You're right. I hate that. If they want to call me a hater, I hate that. But it's just like I'm sitting here on your show. You and I don't agree on everything. But I knew that if I had to call somebody about an issue that was important to me, I'm going to call you. I'm going to say, Eric, we got to talk about this, right? That's what real leadership is about, right? But you know what everybody's thinking about now? I got to tell you, I'm just fascinated by it. Everybody's thinking about being reelected in 2018 when we're talking about these issues.
Well,
everybody's talking about, well, what are we going to do for 2018 when our schools are failing? What are we going to do for 2018 when our taxes are being rose out? What are we going to do about 2018 when I got helicopters flying over my house and 6 or 7 people? Wait a minute. What are we going to do for 2018 when they put out a report like this, right? And saying that we have some serious issues? Because I can go get the Porter report. I tried to find a Michael Porter's report from Harvard, right? One of our renowned economists and one of our great thinkers about urban development and urban planning and how we build like strong local economies. He did that. Nork Alliance was the Prudential Foundation paid Nork Alliance to pay Michael Porter to do this study in 2006, right? So it's just very interesting that when I read this and when I read that report years ago, we were on our way. There were some negative factors, but we were on our way. But now when I look at these national trends now through this report, I'm petrified. I mean, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. We didn't get any better since 2006? Not any better? And everybody's worrying about, you know, how they're going to get elected in 2018? I think that's horrible.
Well, I mean, look, again.
It says here.
I'm not shocked.
It says here, incredibly, Newark residents hold only 18% of all jobs in the city. Newark has a poverty rate twice the national average. 62% of Newark households qualify as hours. We said that.
Listen, we had the deputy mayor call in and tell us that, you know, things were going.
I'm not going to make a comment about that.
Right,
so
but
let's.
I mean, but you understand what I'm saying? I mean, so there's this bubble that they're living in, and this whole idea of looking at running for re-election when you haven't done the job that you should have done in the first 4 years, to me, is just arrogance.
It just says to me where their priorities are.
Well, it says right. It says
priorities,
right. But it also says to me that they have little respect for the electorate.
Well, the electorate at this present moment, listen, at this present moment, the electorate doesn't have respect for itself.
You're right.
Okay, because there is no way, if we were in any city in America that was worth its salt, that we would be tolerating this.
Well, I'm looking at this. This is just an abusive relationship.
He says an abusive relationship.
Dude, I mean, it is an abusive, it is a dysfunctional, abusive relationship.
Well, you know what, I don't know.
The community's getting their ass kicked, right, and then being told that they're being loved, but they're getting their ass kicked. We can look at all of the factors and see it.
So you're talking about an abusive relationship.
It's an abusive relationship.
Well, listen, I am very proud of the fact that they did this study. This is an important study.
And we're going to spend a lot of time going through it.
We should break it up.
We're going to break it up, really, and then we're going to invite you guys to keep coming back on because it's important to go through.
It's called Bridging. It says Report of the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice.
I posted it.
Bridging the Two Americas. I'm talking about the two Norks.
Right.
I mean, let's talk about the two Norks.
Well, let's talk about those helicopters, man.
Oh well. Hey, listen. Let me say something to you. I don't understand it. I don't know. Maybe it's a psychological thing that when you think that you have helicopters hovering over you, that you feel protected. But I got to tell you, unless there's something horrifying happening, please put the helicopters back in and park them, because it sends the wrong message to the citizens of Newark. It's as if we're under siege. We're under siege. But you know, when I hear a helicopter over my house at 11 o'clock at night, right, 12 o'clock at night, that means I believe that I'm not safe.
Right.
And I don't want to feel that way. When I look outside my window, I want to know that the resident that's pulling up lives in my community and is not there to harm somebody in my community. I don't want my leaders to tell me to feel safe and feel better when I know that I'm not feeling safe, that I have a helicopter over my head, that a kid can't go to school without getting shot, that 5 people, and you know what people said to me this weekend? Which it just makes me sick to my stomach. Where there's a war going on. I said, where? In Iraq? Where? In Iran? Where? In Syria? Not in Newark. So we have our children killing each other because they believe that the culture that's running this place is just as criminal as they are.
Oh, absolutely.
Are you kidding me?
No, but that's exactly what's happening right now, man.
So I don't got to worry about. Now listen, let me be clear. I don't have to worry about the terrorists in Syria. I got to worry about the community terrorists that we're forming here.
Bodies being found, bodies sprawled out in the
And wait a minute,
street,
but then some of these people
being carjacked.
But this is the thing that's really getting to me. Now, people can disqualify what we're saying, I can just suggest this. You're not an angry black man, Eric. You're a concerned black man. I'm not an angry black man. I'm a concerned and empowered black man like you. But when people talk to me about a war on our streets, that disturbs me. Because when I read this report, we got a bigger war to fight right here, right? Mm-hmm. We have a serious war to fight right here. But when I hear that there are people that are presently working for our city that's actually jeopardizing the safety of the employees, because those people that are being hired, right, are not people that really care about their jobs. They're just there part-time so they can go back on the street and do their job. So people that are working with these people, lives are in jeopardy. Just several weeks ago, people that are on the reentry program, a bunch of those guys were locked up, right? Now, not all of them are bad, were locked up for engaging in criminal activity. Now, I can't subjectively say that those people they would do it anyway, but there's a culture. And what's happening is the people that work for city government, that have been here for years, that have been working the streets, that have been involved in sanitation and cleaning out streets, they are afraid to go with the people in certain neighborhoods because, I got to get this at home now, because they think they might be harmed.
Oh, wait. Stop for a second. So you mean...
Hello?
See, I told you, man, sometimes I'm slow to get on the bus, but I eventually do get on. So are you saying that, for instance, I drive my truck, and I've been driving it for years, but now we got this prison reentry thing, and you now...
Which I support.
Which you support. But you get in the truck with me now, and I don't know your background. I don't know what you've done. I don't know who you may have done it with.
Right, think about that.
And so now we're rolling through a community, man, and somebody...
Wait a minute. No, I got one better for you. The guys will say, hey, look now, come on. I hope we ain't going to that neighborhood, because I can't possibly go in that neighborhood because I just was out there. I just shot somebody last week. Excuse my language. Shucks.
No.
So I can't go in that neighborhood. Now, could you imagine you got to go home to your wife, your children, your daughters, your sons, your grandchildren, and you got to work under those conditions? And then if you say something about it, shut your mouth. Don't you dare say you lucky to have your.
But wait a minute, but we have that sensitivity when it came to the One North plan, right? Because because we were saying we were arguing and protesting and saying to Cammie and everybody else that, hey, listen, you might have a kid who now has to walk across gang lines to get to school, where he or she in their own community was okay. So now you're putting adults in that same harm's way.
Hey, let me tell you something. When I hear stuff like that, now let's be clear. Let's be fair now. Let's be fair. Let's just say that's some of the stuff that we're hearing, and we hope that it's not true. Let's be clear. See, in order for us to do this effectively, we have to be very careful.
So the question is, how do you prevent it, right? So I'm not saying that. I think
well, first of all, we're not challenging. We're not saying. Right. We're just saying what this reentry program is becoming.
Right. But how do you?
But wait a minute, though. Let me just, because I'm gonna forget. I'm of that age.
Sorry,
I can't. I'll forget this stuff in a minute.
But I love this.
I know. So what they're doing now, this is their answer. Now, I don't know this to be true, and if somebody at home knows that, you can inbox Eric. Inbox me. But what they're doing is they're having the reentry guys sign a waiver.
No.
I swear to God.
Are you serious?
Wait a minute, though. Now, here's what I'm saying. Now, let's look at the pattern of this. I think we're laughing right now, but it's very serious. So look at the pattern.
So they tell me I got to come in, I got to sign a waiver that says that
I'm not suggesting that the people are agreeing to do it, but this is what they're saying. So here's the other thing.
Are you all paying attention?
Here's the other thing, right? Now, let me tell you about the culture. You take your bus that you used during the election, which is electioneering, and you move the people from the reentry program in the bus where you're breaking the law. Hello. So think about, I mean, this is what I say at home. I mean, sometimes I'll be writing this stuff on Sunday. I write, right? And and I have to hold myself responsible for things that I've done wrong in my lifetime. And I want everybody to know that as you get older, you can't do the things you did when you were younger, right? So I get that. I mean, I grew up in the projects, man. I probably did a bunch of stuff, man. Come on, my friends would tell you Kevin was terrible. He was terrible, but I know the difference now. I could challenge it. I could say, well, wait a minute. Hey, wait a minute, Gail. I did that shit. I did that stuff. Excuse me, everybody at home. I did that stuff when I was like 10, 15, 20. But now I'm in leadership, I can't do it. Or I have to fix it. So I have to tell my friends at home, I said, man, I'm still trying to fix that stuff, man. I got to go and work. I said, guys, come on my house so we can fix this and show me how I can get. That's what real leadership is about, right? So we don't set up these, we don't break the law and then have the people that were in trouble, that's trying to re-entry themselves into society to do something positive, be a part of you breaking the law. Hello? And then you're going to have them sign waivers. You're going to have them sign waivers to say, please, sign this waiver. So if you go out there and kill somebody, hey, God, you're not responsible. I'm not responsible for it. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Listen, man, I might have to go home. Look, I might have to go home and hire. I might have to get some police to protect me now. I mean, they got all the police protecting them, but I'm gonna have to put a application in for some police protection.
And let's like you said, let's make it clear. Be clear. This is not against the whole reentry thing, but folks who have done wrong in the community may have wronged somebody in the community. Well, and that person now may be.
Let me tell you how scary that is.
These are just real things.
Somebody was murdered several months ago. Somebody was murdered several months ago, gangland style, by St. Mary's, by St. Benedict's, by Artai, right down the street from City Hall. Come to find out, the guy was a gang member, and he had just killed a bunch of people last week. They moved him from sanitation. They moved him to the health department. You got all those women in there. You got all those people trying to get help. Right? And the guy comes out to get in the car. They went up the street and shoot him dead.
Well, wait a minute. But remember remember the young lady who was shot outside the school? She had her kid. She was going to pick her kid up. Right? And they decided that they wanted to shoot her. So, folks, when they want to enact revenge...
What you say?
Yeah, this was a couple months ago. A young lady was shot outside of a school.
Oh yeah, well that's
right. But I'm saying she was picking her kid up. Yeah. So when they want to enact revenge, they're not looking at who you're with when they do it, right? So I had a rule a long time ago, man, and growing up in Newark, a lot of friends, folks would ask me for rides in my car, and there were some people that I just would not let in my car, Kev.
Well, listen.
Listen.
I grew up,
and because I don't know, and it's just truth. I don't know what you're carrying. I don't know what you did. I don't know what you're gonna do. But my father always said, it's better to be above suspicion than to be correct. So I didn't. I didn't want to be anywhere around that.
Listen, I have had uncles that have gone to prison. I love them to death. Right, but if I knew that they were out there murdering people, they wouldn't be, near me.
You can't.
But making a long story short, I grew up in the city of Newark. I grew up between Mercer, Lincoln, Howard, 440 Elizabeth Avenue. I went to Queen of Angels, St. Benedict's. I grew up in our city, right? And I got to tell you, the culture that's evolving now, I'm even concerned about. And I think I've seen it all. Now, have I been given enough privilege not to be in the street and given great opportunity to see the world and to study and to look at life in a very deep way, but understanding my roots? See, I understand that. And my number one job, because I am a native son to those guys, is not to lie, number one, and not to be engaged in a criminal activity with them, number two.
Right.
Okay? And not to act like them, because that's not what they trained me to do. They wanted me to be better. So I can't act like a thug. I can't talk like a thug. I can't treat people in a bad way, because that's not what they developed me to do. If I did that, they would come to my house, and Gail would tell you, they're knocking on my door all the time. They'll say, Kevin, we'll smack you. You better not conduct yourself that way.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So when they see leadership acting that way, what do they say? Oh, come on, we know him. Oh, come on. He's on it. He's in the street with us. He's with us. He act like us. And guess what? Everybody tells you, from Stokes, from Cleveland on down, when you become a leader and you lead in the free world, you can't bring all your friends from the street inside City Hall with you or inside any business with you. You got to understand the seriousness of that. Now, that's Carl Stokes, one of the most great leaders of our time, transformed Cleveland. The mistake by the late, right?
You're right.
The Stokes family is phenomenal history in this country. So you can't go around and you can't be angry at Eric and Kevin for having commentary that you give us. You can't be angry. Listen, you can't be angry when we're challenging your thought process about leading our city into the 21st century. Because see, when you and other people in this town and in this state was doing it, it was okay. But see, we're putting it in context. See, when you put something in context, Eric, it's pretty scary. Right. So we're saying, okay, we're talking about education, but we're connecting it to the global discussion of education. Correct. We're talking about crime, but we're connecting it to this report we just saw. Right. We're talking about, healthcare, and we're talking about the importance of healthcare, and we're talking about why saving those jobs were important. When we talk, so we're putting it in a global and regional and national context.
And at any time, anybody who refutes anything that we're saying, the lines are always open. We always have an extra stool for you to sit in and to join the debate and to shed light where we may not have.
And I hope that they do that.
Well, I don't think that they
because see, the thing about us, and this is what I always challenge you, right? I say, Eric, you have to read. We talk about this all the time. Eric, you got to read this stuff. So when you see my Facebook page, right? Sometimes I get off track, I might say some stuff I shouldn't say. But the informed class, people are always like, well, Kevin, who are you talking to? I said, I'm talking to people that are interested in something.
Right.
So if I see something that's going to empower them, I put it on my Facebook page. Inform class. Like this whole city thing that they're doing in Atlanta, we got to talk about.
Oh, dude.
Oh, my God.
We got to save
that. Oh, my God. What they're doing in Atlanta.
Well, give them a precursor, because we got 4 minutes.
Well, it's what the surrounding cities or surrounding communities of Atlanta is doing is succeeding from Atlanta.
Remember, Valesburg tried to do that in Newark. But Valesburg tried to do that in Newark. Remember?
It's on my Facebook page. We got to talk about. We got to put that on there to talk about.
But do you remember when Valesburg said that they didn't want to be considered Newark? They want to be their own city.
Well, it's happening in Atlanta, and it's going to have a major impact on Black Atlanta. And I mean, I believe it's all based on race. I believe the South, that's why I don't go below the Mason-Dixie line. I believe the South is still ripe with racism. I think they now are cloaking it with this term, make America great again. Now they're talking about states' rights, community rights. That's all code word for get away from black folk, right?
Right.
So, you got to read the article. It's very lengthy. But on SoundCloud, you can actually read the article and listen to it at the same time.
Right.
It is, but then the thing that I found so interesting is that African American brother that actually used the same methodology that the white people in Atlanta did to succeed was using it for his community. Was using it for his community because he saw his tax base, his community falling apart. So a lot of people started calling this guy Uncle Tom, and he was not Uncle Tom. He was actually thinking about his investment.
That's absolutely right.
Now, did he use the wrong tool probably to do it? Yeah,
but he got it done.
But he got it done. And it's a fascinating story.
It is an incredible story. I'll try to post that up here for you guys too in the thread, so that when we have our future discussion about it, you guys will be informed.
I wanted to say something. I gotta see where it is. Munira had sent me something. And I'm kind of slow on this stuff. Oh, here it is. It says, and I want to do this some justice. She gave me an announcement to make. Free CDL Class A and B training program, right? Forklift certification, 190 hours classroom, yard and road training, and job placement. Earn an A Class A CDL and forklift certificate. Earn a great living being a CDL driver. Jobs available, over 70,000 drivers shortage, which is actually a fact.
Really?
Yeah. Join us to learn more. Information session Tuesday, May 2nd, 2017, 10 a.m. East Orange One Stop Career Center, 50 South Clinton Street, 2nd floor, East Orange, New Jersey. Eligibility, oh boy, I'm blind. Hold on, I gotta... this is, I'm blind, Jack. Well, what we're going to do, because I can't even see it so small.
Send that to me,
I'm
right?
Send it
and
to
we're going to make a little flyer. We're going to put the flyer up on in this thread as well. But, thank you, Munira, for that. But I agree. People should get, it's free?
Yeah. And there is a big vacuum of CDL license, people without CDLs. And you know, truck drivers.
And what kind of salary can you make?
Man, sometimes you can make up $16,000, $70,000, $80,000. Truck drivers, man. I mean, a lot of people that own trucking companies in the region, they're struggling, man. They got to get people out of state to come here because people are not qualifying or trained to get their CDL license. I know it's a big issue, but it's great that she gave that to us. I'm going to send this to you. I'm going to email this to you, so you can treat it with the respect it deserves.
And we'll get that out to you guys. Hey, Kev, man, we got a lot more to go. We may just stay in these articles to, you know, to really give people the information that they need, man, so that they understand it, right? And always connecting it back, because it all connects back to education.
You got to have content. You got to talk. You know, you can't just get on the radio and just go on and on and on. You got to connect what you're saying to something that's happening in the world, that's happening in your city, that's happening in your community, right? So when people talk about this show, I want them to say, hey, listen, those brothers and sisters, whoever you have come on the show, are informing us and doing a great job. And I'm very encouraged to do that.
This is Eric.
This is Kevin.
We're out.
This has been the
May I be the first to say
Flash Radio.
It's 12
94.3. Reggae. Dance hall. Soca. Hip-hop and R&B. African.
literally
Disco. Oldies but goodies.
Hi, this is Janet Jackson.
We're bridging the gap.